This is Zombie Doctor Strange by Abnormal. As I said yesterday, it's a pretty awesome custom minifigure. So obviously pad printed and custom molded parts as well for the back of him as well. Okay. Just want to be very gentle with this. Obviously they're not super fragile, but considering how absolutely amazing it is, and being a collector, I want to keep this in as pristine condition as is possible. The printing of it can only be matched by the San Diego Comic-Con minifigures that are very seldomly produced, and it seems that Lego would no longer produce those ones. But the one that comes to mind is the 2013 Spider-Man, which has such an intricate sort of design, which isn't necessarily replicated by other minifigures at all. And sort of the problem with that is that when Lego are producing hundreds of thousands of the same minifigure, it sort of pays, well, it's more financially robust to have a simpler design. But if Abnormal, I think it's 150 of these that they did produce, it's more probable, more possible to create a minifigure with such intricate sort of design. And to sort of give you a bit of a context here, or contrast, I do have one of Lego's Doctor Stranges as well here from the Sanctum Sanctorum, so 76218. So this is this one here, and we can have a bit of a contrast here. Perhaps it's probably better to start with the head. So although Lego's is pad printed, it could, in comparison to Abnormal's, it could even just be mistaken for UV printing. And UV printing, the lines are not as sharp. And as you can see from Abnormal, just even in the head, the scars, the teeth are much smaller within Abnormal's, which is quite amazing in terms of its the outcome that they've produced there. Also the scarring that Lego have created, it's more of a background sort of noise. So they've gotten away with producing hundreds of thousands potentially of these minifigures by creating a simpler sort of design, so it can run off the conveyor belt a lot faster. And the lines as well in Lego are much thicker, whereas Abnormal much sharper, much more detailed. And in reality, there's really no comparison between the two. It's very clear which one is much better. And even the line between the torso and the legs is just absolutely phenomenal for Abnormal. Whereas you can see that there is that sort of gap with Lego, which up close is a little bit jarring as well, compared to what is possible with Abnormal, with a pad printed one where the artist takes a lot more time, a lot more care with it. Whereas obviously this one has just been produced in order to make money. So obviously as a collector, this is still pretty cool, but far and away Abnormal's one is incredibly better. There's really no question. And even the squaring here on the shoulder pad there. So the squares inside of the squares, that's absolutely phenomenal. And that's what I mean by the SDCC Spider-Man, which has those little tiny marks that Lego was able to produce. But in saying that, Lego only produced 150 or so of those minifigures, so it's possible, but only in a small quantity. But it also means that now that particular minifigure is worth in excess of $10,000 US. So we'll have a closer look at this one, and even a backing detail here of the minifigure heads for the back. Phenomenal. So one of the things that if only 150 minifigures are produced, the artist is, as I said, able to take their time with it and provide a much more sort of intricate. I'm just trying to move his hand, his arm, without using my nail, and make a micro sort of scratch in his arm. But even underneath the arm there, and he's even behind the shoulder, whereas with Lego, they've sort of taken the easy way out and produced nothing on that. But I imagine that the machines with Lego would have to turn a minifigure or turn the torso, turn the legs, etc. In order to produce that, and even behind the legs. So the legs are just navy blue here, except for the printing at the front, obviously. And the arms, and I suppose the arms a minifigure always looks better with printing on the arms, regardless of which one it is. If it's Cloud City Boba Fett or whoever like that. Okay, we'll have a closer look at this one, and even the rib cage there, and what seems to be the intestines coming out. The bout. There's Lego's one. We can see the bout, obviously, but with that misalignment of the legs and the torso, it is quite jarring. If you have a look very closely at the legs and the lack of detail that is produced, if one was just to look at the legs in and of itself for Lego, it will be very difficult to differentiate what is going on there. Whereas with Abnormal, it's very clear. And even the torso, it's quite difficult. Just the torso in and of itself, it's quite difficult to determine what Lego are trying to get at with their design. Whereas Abnormal, it's very clear that they executed an amazing design with that torso, and it seems like they worked incredibly hard to get that alignment, just for all intents and purposes, just perfect. So that's about it in terms of this particular minifigure. It might be good to have a closer look at this one or both of these again when I do have a look at Bricks Park. I think they're Doctor Strange as well, and I'm sure that it's quite clear that only producing a small amount of a particular minifigure, the artist has a lot more attention to detail, consideration for how the actual minifigure looks, and it's probably worth mentioning if you don't necessarily know much about high-end customs. Here, there's a little white dot just there. Or perhaps the printing was not necessarily perfect, but it's close enough to perfection, regardless of that. It does beg to mention that all of these custom minifigures are actually printed on official Lego pieces, official Lego torsos, legs, or minifigures per se, and pad printed, so printed in the same particular way as what Lego are. But the next time we'll see this one is when we do look at Bricks Park, the Doctor Strange, the zombie Doctor Strange.